The first chart type we will deal with is the area chart. But first, let's draw a simple line chart. If I want to present the data of block work activity, I can select them like that, go to insert, and maybe draw a line chart. What I can do next is I can change the chart type, right click, change chart type, go to area, and maybe the basic area. So you can see here the volume instead of line, so you can see maybe more representation of the volume itself. If I want to select the plaster as well, you can select it from here, just drag to the plaster work. And here it's a bit messy, it doesn't represent anything, so I can do right click, change the chart type, and I will present it in a 3D. Click OK. Now it's much better representation, and you can see here, the comparison. So in this part, the plaster was a little bit higher, and it was much higher in November, for example, or maybe October, end of October here. And what I can do also is I will select the block work, double click, color, more colors, and I will go to transparency here. I will make it like 30%. And also it is better, you can see what is behind right now, do your comparison accordingly. So what if I want to select all data? If you wanna try it and select it, it's just maybe it's too much information, in this type of a chart. You can still use an area chart, but maybe different format or presentation of it. I will show you what I mean here. So you do right click, change the chart type, and I will choose this type, the 3D stacked area, and I will click OK. So now you can see all data, but I can maybe show the legend as well, exactly like that. So if you wanna look at a specific month, you can see that the MEP has the highest contribution, followed by the plaster, then block work, etc. Not only that, you can see also the trend. So over the period, the MEP increased for the first month, the cost we can claim for, and also it remained stable, and it had like sharp increase in December. I can talk about paint as well. Paint is almost stable, but maybe by the beginning of November 2021 I can claim for more cost. I have high forecasted cost in this time. And if you go back to my previous video, I explained the stacked. It is related, it is similar to the stacked chart, but the only difference is I can see the trend in my area chart. So for the stacked column, every column is a standalone. I can see the relative contribution of each activity in a specific month. But if you go to the area chart, you can also see that, but you can also see the trend. So this is one of the advanced also charts you can use for your project management presentation. The second type of a chart is the radar chart. And if I want to assess the performance of 4 different activities, for example, over 4 different months, as here, and I want to use a parameter that can be evaluated across all activities. So I choose the variance percentage. I cannot choose actual percentage, for example, because it's misleading to compare the actual percentage of engineering to the MEP, because it makes sense that engineering actual is ahead of MEP or any other construction activity. So we have also to take into consideration the planned actual, not only the actual percentage. So the only metric that can help us evaluate the performance is the variance percentage, because it takes into consideration both planned and actual percentage. So here I distributed all variance for 4 activities in 4 months. So let's maybe have a look on how the radar chart looks like. So I choose only the engineering, insert, go charts, and all the charts, and choose radar, and click OK. So if you want to look at it, so you will see that in February 2022, I had the highest variance. You know, if I'm comparing 4 months, so February was the highest. So it, you know, they distributed for you like clockwise. So January, February, March, and April. Okay. So in February, it was the highest. At the end of my assessment period in April, it was the lowest, which means I am doing some recovery here for engineering. Okay. So let's add maybe more data. And I will show the legend also. Okay, so what it means here, I can use it in two different ways. The first way is I can evaluate the performance of each activity in a specific month. So for January, for example, the engineering has the highest variance percentage, followed by the facade work, then the finishes. But I can see also that there is a huge gap in the variance between engineering and the facade. So we have really a huge problem in engineering here. And if I want to look into April, for example, in April, the variance percentage is almost close to each other. So we did not have a like huge gap as we can see in January and February. So in April 2022, I had the finishes has the highest variance percentage, or the main problem in the project right now, followed by engineering, then MEP. And for facade, it is the lowest in April. So this is the first feature I can use in the radar chart. The second benefit is I can compare, or I can evaluate the trend of a specific activity over the whole 4 months. So for let's say finishes, for example. So for finishes, the orange one, so I have it over here. So I can see in March it was the worst in March, then maybe the lowest in maybe February here, which means, you know, the problem increased actually. So it increased from February to March. So something is wrong here. So I can also evaluate the trend. Let's take facade, for example. Facade, it was the highest in January, but it was stable, almost stable over the other month. For engineering here, I had really huge problem in January and February, even compared to other activities, but it was reduced significantly in April. So you have two features to use in radar chart. The first one is you can compare different activities in a specific month and see what is the main cause of delay. And the second feature is to evaluate the trend of a specific activity over a certain period. And I did it only, this is an example, but you can, for example, do maybe overall variance percentage for 3 different projects, for example. So it has unlimited, you know, benefits, but we are trying here to explain the concept. I do not want to show you how to insert a chart because you can find it anywhere else, but I'm trying to explain to you how to determine the right chart for your purpose, or based on what you need, and how to use it effectively, especially in project management field. The third chart type we will deal with is the bubble chart. And if I have this data, for example, I have a matrix. I have here the project name, and I have 3 columns: planned, actual, and the contract value. And I have here the planned percentage, actual percentage, and the value in millions here. And I want to present this data in maybe interesting way, eye-catching way. So how can I do that? I can select the data, only the data. Do not select the header or the project yet, just select the data. Click insert, go to charts, and all charts. You go to scatter, then 3D bubble, and go, maybe I like this one, I can use it. And maybe do formatting a little bit. So for bubble chart, it's the right chart type for you if you have 3 columns. So by default, the bubble chart will put the first column into the x-axis, and the second column on the y-axis, and the third column is the size of the bubble. So Excel will automatically adjust the size of the bubble relative to the contract amount. So this is maybe the biggest bubble we have. So if this actually will belong to project B, which has the highest contract value, this is how you want to present the data. And by default, the Excel will not show this information. Like you have to do it like semi-automatic or a little bit manual. And I can show the labels here. Right click, add data labels, add data callouts. Okay, and right click on the data callout itself and format data labels. You can unselect the X value and the Y value, and you want to show the projects. So you select the value from cells, and it will ask you to specify range. This is my range I want to choose from the projects. Then okay, I will unselect the bubble size again. So yeah, here you go. So how can you review this data right now? So I want to say that, you know, first, for anyone who wants to review, he will review the biggest bubble first, which in our case, the highest contract value amount. I have a planned percentage here. So let's also show the X titles. You have to do it manually because, you know, I found it cannot be automatic actually when you insert a chart as a first place. So I just do it manually. So I have here for the biggest contract value, I have the planned percentage 30%, I have the actual 20%. The second, which means I'm behind the schedule, so it needs more attention right now. The second biggest bubble is 10% planned, maybe a little bit less than 10%, which is fine. So we do not have to take immediate action right now because it is a larger project, yes, but it is at the beginning, maybe 10% planned. So it will not require immediate attention compared to this project. So what about this project? This project, I have here 35% planned versus 40% actual. It's actually, so the higher you go here, it's actually good. It is the actual percentage, which means that it is ahead of schedule, but actually it is not that important for you because it's a small project anyway. This is relatively big. It is not huge compared to these two projects, but this is also maybe the third biggest one, which is 75% planned compared to 70% actual. It is delayed, it requires attention because now you are at the 75% elapsed in the project. So you have 5% variance in the project, but the project will be almost completed. You need to pay attention for that so you can make sure the project is completed on time. And also it is not a small contract amount, it is a little bit big. When you move your cursor on the bubble, it will give you the information down. So the size here is 50, which means 50 millions. So actually this is a project we are talking about, project D. So this is 50 millions. It's not a small project. So maybe you need to pay attention. So to sum up, as per our understanding and presentation of this chart, you want to pay attention to this project. It's a very big project and it is delayed. 30% of the project duration has already been elapsed. And also want to pay attention to that. So this is really effective way to present information. I gave only one example, but you can be creative, you know, just use it for any information you might need to present, cost, planning, quality, whatever, as long as you have a matrix like that, header, and also you have some maybe information here and you have a matrix, as long as there are 3 columns or 3 parameters to deal with, so you can have really effective metrics to evaluate project performance. The third chart type we will deal with is the Sparkline chart, and this type of charts is meant to evaluate trends. So if I have the earned value cost for these activities over this month, a higher earned value cost means more performance achieved in this specific activity, right? So if I want to evaluate the trend for block, I want to see how much we are performing over this period. So there are maybe few ways you can do that, but they are not all effective if you go for a line, trend line. So you can select all and you can select a line, but they are all like messed up and it is very hard to track, you know, and you can go one by one, track the colors, but it is really challenging because there are a lot of data jammed in one area. Another way maybe you think you can do it is to have the line for only one activity, and maybe you can have 6 multiple charts, you know, one for each one, but also it's a lot of data. It's you wanna something summary level. You can use a Sparkline to do that. You can insert here, leave one maybe data open here, and you can click insert and go to Sparklines here. I wanna do align and select data range. This is the range of activities I wanna evaluate, and the location where I want to present this information. I want to present it here, and click OK. So now you can see in one table only, you can have the figure, and you can also see a summary of all trends. And instead of having 6 charts, no, you can, so you can start evaluating like really quickly. So for block work, it was stable during this period, and then it slowed down significantly. So maybe you can take a note and see, investigate the cause of delay, for example. For cluster, it was stable, but it increased also significantly. So when you have all information in your hand right now, so how come cluster will increase, the rate of progress will increase a lot compared to block? So when you are done with your investigation, maybe you can come up with the conclusion that block work is almost finished in the project, and now you have more work front for cluster to do the work. And this is the purpose of, you know, this Sparkline. So you can compare multiple activities at once, but it is very hard to do the same with 6 different charts. It's also a lot of space, you know, to do all of that. For ceramic, I know it is increasing, the trend is increasing, which is a good sign. For full ceiling also almost increasing, paint is increasing. For MEP, it is reduced significantly also, so you can raise an alarm, you know, it's maybe something is wrong here. Because for the core finishing activities like plaster, ceramic, false ceiling, paint, they are all increasing, they are all up. MEP is down. It means MEP has work front, but I am unable to achieve the required work. This is maybe a nice way to investigate the causes of delay, and you will probably come to know that there is something serious in the project, like I'm unable to do further work because there is a design change, there is a variation order, something is holding me back. So you can raise this presentation to management for decision making. And there is also another way to do the Sparkline, so I will just copy that here, and I want to change the format of the chart. So you can go to insert, you know, it's not actually a chart by Excel definition, but it is something like a tool. It's like cell format because it fits within a cell. It is not like the charts we are dealing with. I will go to Sparkline also. I will go to columns, data range again, and location range. I will specify this range and click OK. So it is actually similar to the line, but it shows you the value in form of columns. So for MEP, it was very high, then it was reduced, so it is just represented in columns. And there is something also you can do with the Sparkline. So when I select the block, for example, the other activities are auto-selected because I grouped them at once when I inserted the chart. But you can go to Sparkline, for example, you can ungroup this specific activity. So now I have another group excluding the block, but for the block work, maybe I want to customize it. Maybe I want to have a different color. You can also ungroup everything. So I select everything, then I click ungroup. Then I can customize the color. For example, I want this in green. You can also select all. You can go to Sparkline and you can identify high points and low points. Maybe it's also nice to review. So I can see here the highest points are at the last month, which is good. Now we are performing higher. And here I had the lowest point here. Maybe if you want, you can go back and check the reason for that. So you can maybe identify low and high points. If you want to do it in columns, they will highlight the column itself. So here is the high and low points. So here in MEP, I have the lowest point in the last month, but I have the highest in the first column. So this is really a nice way to evaluate trends for more activities. And one last thing I want to do here, so you don't use only Sparklines only if you have certain activities and you are evaluating the earned value cost. So you can use it in a quality, in risk assessment, in any data set you want to evaluate or review. My job here is to help you determine the right chart type for you. And also I want to tell you that there is something called Sparkline, which has these type of features. So next time when you are stuck with data to present, you will know that there is something called Sparkline. You can just head to the menu and select it and use it for evaluation. So I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you in another one.